Thank you for tuning in to Escaping the Chains podcast. We are being produced today by Delivered Media. Go check them out on the social medias. Also, we would love it if you would go on our YouTube channel and subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts. If you could go over there, give us a follow and a good review, hopefully a good review. And the same thing with Spotify. Go check out a couple episodes and then give a review, an honest review, but we hope it's 5 stars. Today, I want to touch on seeking wise counsel and getting good advice. And it's something in my life that when I have done that, things tend to go better. And it is biblical to seek wise counsel. And we'll get into some of the scriptures on that and some stories. But so many times what I tend to do if I'm doing something and I maybe shouldn't be doing it or I'm not sure, instead of getting advice, I kind of isolate and I tell myself, hey, I've got this. And I don't know if anybody else out there is like that, but it's like, I got this covered. I know what I'm doing. And it never hurts to get good advice from people that you trust. Obviously, you don't want to get advice from just anybody, anywhere. But I want to dig into a little bit of a story that might be helpful and just show a little bit of my personality, because I do kind of buck these things. I don't always want to listen to people, especially if they're giving good advice. But the thing is like sometimes, and I mentor some people in my life, and it's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that I've seen this path before and where it's heading, and these are some of the things you may want to look for. I was driving down the road, and it was starting to get dark. This has been, a while back, but I was driving down the road, and a guy or somebody in another car flashed me, and it instantly made me mad, because I was like, are my lights not working? Like, why did the person flash me? Like, I got irritated. And so in my head, I'm like snapping, like, why did they flash me? I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't know if maybe they thought I was veering to the middle of the road, whatever. But as I got up the road a little ways, there was a bunch of deer crossing the road. And what that person was trying to do was let me know, hey, there's something up there that you can't see that could be very dangerous and alter your life and at least cause an accident. But I couldn't see that. And when the person, when they were trying to alert me, I should have been like, oh, maybe there's something going on. But I get in my flesh and I get irritated, and it was uncomfortable because they flashed me, and I was, mad, thinking like I didn't do anything wrong. But what they did is they did alert me enough to where I was paying attention, and it probably saved me an accident, because there was a whole bunch of them just crossing the road. And sometimes we do that in life. Somebody's trying to give us advice and saying, hey, up the road, like, I've seen this play out before. I've seen something that you're heading into, and it could be dangerous for you spiritually, relationship-wise, your family, or it could just be a mistake that we're trying to help you avoid. I've seen up the road, and I know it's uncomfortable when I'm flashing you and talking to you and telling you that you may not want to take this path, or you may want to slow down, or you may want to turn left instead of going straight up ahead. But us, being how we are built and designed, I don't want to be told what to do. And sometimes it's hard for me to take advice, but the truth is, there's people in your life that are trying to get you to avoid crashing into a deer, crashing into a problem, getting led into a relationship you're not supposed to be in, accepting a job for the wrong reasons and then being stuck there. All of these different kinds of things that people can be trying to help you with, but you don't receive it. There's a couple reasons. Because you don't want to. And another one is sometimes it's like, I don't want to be, I want to do me, and I don't want to be told what to do. Well, it's not really people telling you what to do when they're just saying, hey, I've seen this play out before. Be careful. I've seen relationships start like this before, and these are red flags. I've seen people jump from job to job before, and this job just may not be for you, in all kinds of different things. It is very smart to continue to learn, and it is very wise to get counsel and pick people's brains that you trust, and that's the disclaimer on this. Like I said before, you don't just listen to anybody. You just aren't like, oh, I'm going to talk to everybody that I know, that I work with, about this problem and get all of this advice and see what sticks and what I want to use. You seek wise counsel and you get wise advice. And the people that know you kind of see your rhythms, because that's another thing is like when I'm living my life, I'm in this bubble and I know the things that I want and I know the things that I want to do, but the people on the outside of that know me can see trends in my life and they can see the mistakes that I continually make. And yes, we should learn from them, but we don't always, now do we? At least I don't. I'll keep going around a mountain, and that's why some people on the outside, friends and people I trust, are so important because they can see these trends and they can see the things up the road. They're like, we've done this before, or I've seen this before. So I would strongly suggest that you start to look around at your circle and the people around you, and who are the people you trust to get wise and counsel, wise advice and counsel from. Because if you don't, you're not growing. If you literally think that you know it all and you don't need anybody's advice and you don't need any guidance, then you're done with life. You've hit a wisdom level that nobody ever has. So congratulations. But for the rest of us, it is good to talk to people that have been there. Talk to people that have been through things. Talk to people that you trust. And especially when they're close to you, they can see trends that you don't see because you're so close to the situation, if that makes sense. So I'm so close to this. I keep doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe it looks a little different this time, but I'm doing the same thing. They can look from the outside and be like, hold up, bro. You need to take a second and really pray about these decisions and where you're headed, because there's some kind of danger up ahead. Like, this is the same thing you keep doing. You may have dressed it up a little different, but it's the same thing. There are so many examples in the Bible, a lot of Old Testament stories where people kind of did what they wanted to do and they didn't seek counsel and they didn't get advice and they did it. And then after that was a complete disaster. You think about David when he called for Bathsheba and then ended up having her husband killed and all of these things. Like, there was no wise counsel involved in that. He did what he wanted to do. And it's not that God puts things on your heart and goals and dreams that you should definitely pursue, but it's in that quiet space where we start to manipulate ourselves. Like, I want this thing and I think that I can make it something, something good. And I think that I can make it something that would make my life prosperous. And if you look at the David Bathsheba situation, it was complete disaster. Like, he had somebody killed when that was all said and done, lost a child. And I think it's that quiet time. We know when we're starting to, or we should, that we're starting to fool ourselves into believing that this is something I want and it's okay, or this is something that I want to do and it's okay. But anybody on the outside with any level of wisdom or biblical knowledge or just wisdom at all could look and say, that's a bad, horrible idea that can go really south, but you don't want to hear it. So Samson's another case where he wanted to hook up with Delilah. He wanted this girl, she was pretty and all of these things. And she starts nagging him, trying to get these secrets from him. And you can see, like, if he would have had a friend that he trusted that could have been like, dude, she's manipulating everything. And she's also a source of, like, a lot of information seems to be leaking from her. What are you doing? But he didn't have that. What he was doing was trusting himself. And I mean, you do have to trust yourself to an extent, but when you're having these conversations in your head and starting to give yourself grace for things before they happen and starting to negotiate with yourself is a good word. You start to negotiate with yourself, like, I want this. It could be a good thing. It's everything that I ever wanted. So I'm going to do it. And then maybe God will bless it. So if you just look at those couple, there's so many stories like this, but in my life, and probably yours too, you can look at these situations where it's like, hey, I want this. There's no reason for me to ask for any outside advice or, any outside opinion. I'm just going to go after it. And then everything catches on fire and it's a disaster. Then we go back to the people and be like, hey, sometimes I'll go back to, like, the people that pour into me and I'm like, we got a problem. And they're like, what do you mean we? I didn't even know this was going on. So when you feel yourself starting to, there's a few things I think that can help with this. And this is something that I've had to learn is if I feel it, if I'm pulling myself away from God and what it's saying in the Bible, that's a problem. If it's pulling me away from the people I trust, they can give me advice and you don't have to listen to the advice. But like, why wouldn't I want to get their advice? You know what I mean? Like, what would keep me from wanting to get their advice? I trust them. They're not going to be running around talking about it. So what is it that inside of me is going on to where I don't want to get advice or tell anybody what's going on? I'm negotiating with myself, and I'm manipulating myself and the people around me in the situation. So I want this, so I'm going to go after it. So I would highly suggest that you set something up before these things happen, and you just have somebody that you trust to pour into your life, that you talk to on a fairly regular basis, and even tell them about the good stuff, because sometimes the things that are good can be leading us to those deer again. You know, it looks good right now, but up the road it could be an accident waiting to happen or a problem waiting to happen. So today, just dig into yourself. And if you're doing something in life right now that you feel like, I am pulling away from what the Bible tells me, or I'm pulling away from my relationship with God, or I don't want to talk to people about this because I've got it covered, I don't want to talk to people about this because I know what I'm doing, you're probably headed to a place that's going to end up bad for everybody. So my name is John Humphries. We thank you so much for listening to Escaping the Chains. Please go follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. Share with a friend. We are working with Delivered Media right now. That's our production company, and we're very grateful for them. And listen, when you feel the need to keep something a secret, that's a problem. You know, and yes, you have to keep confidentiality with your friends and things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you feel like chasing and pursuing something and you don't want to get advice and you don't want to check with the Bible and you don't want to talk to your people about it, it's probably a problem. So you all have a blessed day. Thank you for listening.